because we got a tight timeline, hey?
All right.
This guy's good. Okay, hello everybody. Ooh, that's loud. Hi. It's great to see you all. Welcome to the 2025 University of Alberta 3-Minute Thesis Finals. I'm so excited for this. If you've talked to me about it, you know that it's like my favorite event that we host from GPS all year. So I'm just thrilled that you could join us as well. My name is Tracy Rivio, and I'm the Vice Provost and Dean of the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. I want to get us started today in a good way by acknowledging that the University of Alberta is located on Treaty 6 territory and respects the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our vibrant community. I also want to acknowledge some special guests from our university community before we get going. Provost Bernie Yu and Chancellor Nazar Somji are here, and you'll hear from them in a few moments. Thank you so much for being here. We have also Board of Governors member Miles Safranovich. Thank you, Miles, for supporting 3MT again this year. Deputy Provost Students and Enrollment, Melissa Padfield. I have that Ravina was coming. Ravina's not here yet. She'll probably be here. Dean of Students, Ravina Sangera. And potentially, I also have Associate Vice President Sarah Wolgamuth. They might not be in the room yet. We also have Alex Gagnon, who is our 2024 3MT champ. And I am so pleased that she has come back to support this year's 3MT competitors. So thank you all to these special guests for coming out. We really appreciate you being here. So I'm so pleased to be hosting this celebration of the more than 50 talented graduate student researchers and 15 finalists who took part in this year's 3MT competition. Now, I trust that most of you are familiar with the 3MT given that you're here, but just for your information, it started at the University of Queensland in 2008, and it's now held in over 85 countries around the world. I also want to tell you a little bit about the rules as we progress tonight, just to underscore what all of these amazing young scholars have accomplished in being here tonight to share with you about their research. So a 3MT presentation is like an elevator pitch in a really large elevator. Students have just 3 minutes to communicate the basics of their research project to a non-specialist audience. They can use only one static image to support their talk, and other than that, there are no slide decks, no props, nothing but their enthusiasm, their ideas, and their creativity. We in GPS are delighted to organize and host the 3MT each year. This is our 11th annual competition, and we think it's an outstanding way to showcase the incredible graduate research happening at the University of Alberta and its impact within and beyond the university. And we're not alone in feeling this way. To underscore how important the 3MT is to the university community, I'd like to invite 2 special guests to share words of welcome. The first is Chancellor Nazar Somji. Chancellor Somji, would you like to take the mic?
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, and I am as well excited to be here. You know, one of the best parts of what I do is to get younger again when I get to see all the interesting work that is being done and relive my own youth through your eyes and through your work and through all you do. And, you know, in my days, the concept of 3 minutes wasn't there. 3 hours was actually short. Right? And I remember telling someone, why write a paragraph when a book will do, right? So when I was asked to come speak, he says, well, you only have 3 minutes, and I'm thinking, I read 3-0, but anyway, the zero kind of disappeared. But, one of the things I do in my role as Chancellor is I chair the Senate, and so on behalf of the Senate, I bring you greetings, and I wish you all the very best as you bring us some of the most amazing ideas. One of the things that I get excited about is how some of these ideas get applied and then impact our communities and impact the people we are surrounded by. And so I am, the key to any form of research is what do you do with it and how do you move it forward and what happens with it. So, from what I have read in the titles that you have, we are surrounded by difference makers. We are surrounded by an amazing group of talented individuals who will, I hope, use this as a starting point to transform not only their own lives and their families, but of the communities they live in, and globally as well. So I want to congratulate you for making it this far, which is quite an accomplishment, and wishing you the very best as you fight it out and to see who ends up going to the next level. And Tracy, thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chancellor Somji. And now I'm so pleased to welcome our Provost and Vice President Academic, Verna Yu, to the podium.
Wonderful. All right. Well, needless to say, this is one of my favorite events. And you know what? It's really hard to be succinct. It's actually quite easy to write pages and pages. But to be able to be succinct actually requires a lot of skill. And not only succinct, but to be understandable to the average person. And I think that's what I really admire on the 3MT thesis, is sort of how you actually bring to life your research in such a short time. And I remember, Alex, your presentation last year was so phenomenal about recycling, and it was about recycling people and the impact it'll have on future generations. And so I think the impact piece is also a really important aspect. I want to acknowledge our judges at the back, Jason, Matina, Brenda, and Tope. Thank you so much for that. And what you see before your judges is actually a wonderful interdisciplinarity that our university has. And saying that, every aspect of our university, no matter whether it's STEM, whether it's social sciences, humanities, or health sciences, that we're all interconnected. And I'm really excited about what you're going to be showing with us. Graduate studies is a really important part of the university. You're kind of like the engine for how we roll as a university. Not only do you help us teach, but you actually do impactful research. And we're so grateful for all of our graduate students who are here today. I want to also echo Chancellor Somji's congratulations. It took you a while to get here. So I hope you took some pride in that, to know that you're in the top 15. And all the best to you. Good luck, and excited to hear your presentations.
Thank you, Verna. You beat me to the punch, because the next thing I want to do is, speaking of invaluable supporters, I want to thank all the people that have been engaged in judging so far and making decisions, hard decisions about who came forward to these final 15. So I want to thank the 15 people that you can see the names of up here, faculty members, senators, and postdoctoral fellows, who contributed their time and expertise to judge those 50 3MT semifinalists that I talked about earlier. So let's give them a round of applause. I know that some of them are in the room, so if you are a judge who's in the room that judged? Do you want to give us a wave? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate it. And finally, a really special introduction to our judges. I want to introduce you to the 4 people who've taken on the Herculean task of judging the 3MT finals, and it is Herculean. This year, we have a team of judges who know a lot about groundbreaking research and about the importance of effective communication and outreach in enabling collaboration across sectors, communities, and academic disciplines. They are deans and associate deans from our 3 colleges and from Campus St. Jean, one of our essential community-based faculties. And I'm going to ask them to stand up as I introduce them in alphabetical order. So first is Jason Carey, Dean and Executive Officer of Campus St. Jean, the university's trailblazing Francophone campus. Next is Brenda Hemmelgarn, Vice Provost and Dean of the College of Health Sciences and Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Dentistry. For those of you that maybe aren't as familiar with our college structure, I'll just say that the College of Health Sciences encompasses the faculties of kinesiology, sport and recreation, medicine and dentistry, nursing, pharmacy and pharmaceutical sciences, public health, and rehabilitation medicine. We're also delighted to have Martina Kalkunas-Rappel, Vice Provost and Dean of the College of Natural and Applied Sciences with us. The College of Natural and Applied Sciences is home to the faculties of Agriculture, Life and Environmental Sciences, Engineering, and Science. And finally, joining us from the College of Social Science and Humanities, we have Associate Dean Research, Temitope Oriola. Thank you so much, Tope, for being with us. The College of Social Science and Humanities encompasses the faculties of Arts, Business, Education, and Law. So thank you so much, all 4 of you. You're soon to see how difficult the task is ahead of you in choosing from our wonderful presenters, and we are so grateful for your time. And so with no further ado, let's move on to those presentations. So here's how this is going to work for those of you that weren't here last year. I will introduce our presenters today in groups of 5, and Rob, to my right here, will announce each talk and usher each speaker forward. After each talk, there'll be a short pause of around a minute for our judges to do the hard work that they have volunteered so graciously to do. And so here we go. Our first 5 presenters are going to share research on everything from food science to AI and oil drilling. Our presenters will be Hafadia Bello, Isa Jabrilov, Adam MacArthur, Heba Aref, and Isaac Ziem.
Thank you, Tracy. Our first presenter of the evening, Hifadeo Emmanuel Bello from the Department of Agricultural, Food, and Nutritional Science. Hifadeo's presentation is called From Buy to Buy.
Which would you rather eat? The left or the right? Oh, I can see people tilting towards the right. What if I told you that the major component of the right that you want to eat is gotten from this? This, in its natural state, is sold for 2.75 Canadian dollar per 100 gram, while this is sold for 5.75 Canadian dollar per 100 gram. That is 130% increase in value. That is what happens if our meat byproducts are being valorized. Every year, Canada processes 26 million of meat in the meat industry, comprises of pig, 61%, cattle, 37%, poultry, sheep, and lambs takes the 2%. Out of this total volume, 1/3 of them are discarded as waste, in which 40% of them account to 1.23 metric trillion tons are certified for human consumption. Yet they are discarded. Why? In other parts of the world, they are considered as delicacy. Despite their highly nutritional factor, protein, essential amino acid, vitamin, and minerals, they are being discarded. Yet in Canada and other parts of the world, the consumptions are limited due to cultural differences, food safety concerns, and lack of knowledge about their benefits. But what if we can redefine their role in our food system, whereby they are repurposed into a sustainable functional food product? Would you eat them? Can we imagine a future where non-part of our meat byproduct is being discarded? My research explores methodology where we can shift this byproduct from buy to buy. This research follows three methodological approach. We need to understand the perception of consumers in Canada. 60% of about 500 consumers that we present our survey to stated that they initially don't eat meat byproduct, but commented that if it is being repurposed into another meat, they are ready to eat. Let me ask you, would you eat as well? This propels us to our second stage, where we extract protein, which is the highest nutritional value of this product, and we extract protein, analyze this protein that is being extracted using 4 different protein extraction methods for their sustainability, nutritional factor, and also their environmental impact. Scale them to make functional product that is consumable. This product will not only benefit Canadian consumer, but also the industry will make more money, increase profitability, and they are going to have more access to market opportunity. From buy to buy is not just a phrase, it's a vision of a sustainable future where none of our meat byproduct goes to waste. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Isa Jabrailov from the Department of Medicine. Isa's presentation is called The Right Tool for the Right Job.
Have you ever tried to unscrew a bolt with a butter knife? It might work, eventually, but it'll be slow, it'll be frustrating, and likely you'll just end up damaging the bolt in the process. That's because every job needs the right tool. And when it comes to detecting complex diseases, the wrong tool doesn't just slow things down. It makes it incredibly difficult to find the right answers. My research looks at Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD, a rapidly progressive disease in which patients often pass within 6 months of diagnosis. CJD is caused by prions, proteins which are naturally found in our brains, which for one reason or another adopted a different shape. The issue is, these prions don't sit idle once they change their shape, but instead, they cause other normal proteins to do the same and cause damage throughout the brain, like falling dominoes. Now, unlike bacteria or viruses, prions in most cases are not foreign invaders, and this makes them incredibly difficult to detect. Trying to detect them is like trying to pick out little nuts and bolts hidden deep within the brain, and unfortunately, in our present state, we lack the right tools to do so. Most current tests rely on indirect measures, which often only really work in late stage of the disease, while other tests take many days to complete, leaving patients and their families waiting for answers. My research is trying to change that. We've developed a new detection system called a flash body, which is designed to differentiate between the normal and the harmful protein shapes. Much like a screwdriver is shaped to fit a specific type of screw, our flash body is designed to only pick up the harmful prions. It functions like an on-off switch, lighting up only for positive signals, and unlike conventional methods, is designed to be fast and not require any specialized lab equipment. We've already tested this new tool in the lab, and we've been able to detect CJD prions. And not only that, we can actually track these harmful shapes in mice. We're currently collaborating with the Public Health Agency of Canada to screen suspected CJD patients, and we're seeing very promising results. The most exciting part of all of this is this new tool can actually be applied to other brain diseases, such as Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, and be assembled into a toolbox which you can pull from depending on your needs. With this new tool, we're hoping to create a fast, simple, and reliable diagnostic test which healthcare providers can pull from to make accurate and timely diagnoses. Because when it comes to detecting prion diseases, the wrong tool just leaves you guessing, but the right tool, well, the right tool can start to give you some answers. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Adam MacArthur from the Department of Radiology and Diagnostic Imaging. Adam's presentation is called No More Guessing, the Unexpected Role of AI.
I was born with hip dysplasia, a condition that affects how your hip joint develops. After over a year in a full body cast, I will likely still need a double hip replacement in the future. For too long, treating and diagnosing hip dysplasia has required too much guesswork. Doctors are forced to make decisions without the full picture, leading to people's lives being changed forever. I think AI can change this. What's unexpected, though, is that AI's greatest contribution might not be in directly diagnosing the disease, but instead enabling a world where medical research is more open, accessible, and collaborative than ever before. Currently, we rely on doctors and what they see looking at ultrasounds and x-rays. But sadly, this leads to inconsistencies, with many patients being diagnosed unnecessarily and others being diagnosed too late and needing complicated treatment that follows a lifetime of pain. A portable, smart ultrasound device that could fit in my breast pocket could automatically diagnose the disease, enabling for hundreds of hours of clinicians' time to be saved. But this work is also hampered because AI researchers also have to deal with guesswork. Instead of collaborating, they are prevented from working with each other. This means that labs around the world have to start from scratch every single time. My research involves creating the first free open access software for diagnosing and researching hip dysplasia. It's about creating a global foundation for collaboration and discovery that's easy to use and serves everyone, regardless of their background. We think that similar software could help with other diseases for free and with minimal training. We need to stop guessing and start sharing. Should AI researchers have to constantly reinvent the wheel, or should they work together to solve real problems? Medical researchers are constantly stuck with, if we work together, constant patients could be saved from a lifetime of pain, and we could reduce the need for complicated surgeries. As well as this, we could, the unexpected role of AI is in enabling researchers to work together. We need to open our eyes, share our tools, and transform medical research, not with guesswork, but with precision, collaboration, and clarity. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Heba Arif from the Faculty of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Heba's talk is called Desperate for Relief, Hesitant to Believe, Breaking the Cannabis Silence.
Think of someone you know who's 70 or 80 years of age or older. Now, imagine that person, unable to sleep, anxious, and willing to try anything to relieve their severe joint pain in their knees or their hands. Like Mary, one of my patients who told me, when that pain hits and none of my joint medications help, I am ready to stand on my hands in a corner, if that means escaping the pain. Desperate for relief, Mary, like many others, considered cannabis. Not because cannabis is trendy, but because nothing else works. And to understand this struggle more, I conducted interviews with patients, asking them, how do you approach cannabis decision-making? Findings were striking. Patients rely on their doctor's guidance, yet they rarely receive it. Why not? I conducted interviews with physicians and asked them. They all agreed, we do not provide any guidance and we are hesitant when it comes to cannabis. Not because we don't care about cannabis, but because we don't have access to reliable evidence. That situation leaves everyone stuck and silent. Patients desperate for relief and physicians hesitant to believe that they can help their patients. So, what happens when patients do not get any answers from their doctors? Patients turn to the cannabis industry for advice. Patients do not use their medications, thinking that cannabis is the medication. Patients do not talk to their doctors about cannabis because they fear judgment, stigma. And then, what happens? More pain, more joint damage, and more exposure to cannabis unregulated products. What begins as a search for relief ends as a gamble for patients. What begins as a hesitation turns into frustration for physicians. And then, there is hope. I conducted more interviews with patients and physicians, asking them, how can my research facilitate a conversation about cannabis? They all agreed. The answer was unanimous. We need a tool. And this is what I'm working on right now. I am developing a cannabis decision support tool that's user-friendly and easily accessible and reliable. With this tool, patients like Mary will no longer feel isolated. Patients like Mary will no longer feel desperate for relief. Physicians will no longer feel hesitant to believe that they can help. With this tool, we will replace silence with knowledge, doubt with confidence. With this tool, we provide hope by breaking the cannabis silence. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Isaac Ziem from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Isaac's talk is called From Waste to Watts, Powering Oil Drilling.
What if I told you that farming and energy harvesting have something in common? I am both a farmer of crops and a farmer of energy. Coming from a long lineage of farmers, I can confidently tell you that the most defining moment in the life of a farmer is a time of harvest, a time that tells whether or not he reaped what he sowed. My passion for farming and harvesting has greatly influenced my graduate studies today, except now I'm harvesting waste heat instead of crops. One of the dominating causes of global warming remains waste heat, and the oil industry stands as a major contributor to this. On the other hand, the International Energy Agency predicts a 3.4% surge of electricity demand in the next 3 years. Now I want you to close your eyes and imagine me in between these two challenges, the exact spot my thesis has situated me, converting waste heat in the oil industry into electrical energy. Now, please open your eyes and let's consider a special oil extraction technique where steam is injected underground under extreme high temperatures and pressure in order to make extraction of the crude oil easier. Unfortunately, in the course of this, vast amount of waste heat is generated. My team and I in the lab are addressing this challenge, converting waste heat into electrical energy. I've designed and simulated circuits for devices that can withstand the harsh underground oil drilling environment while transforming the waste heat into electrical energy. Now, if you're wondering how this works, it's fascinating. When a device is placed on the surface of a hot pipeline, the part directly in touch with it attains a higher temperature compared to the part away from it. The differences in temperature is responsible for converting the waste heat into electrical energy. To validate this, I've carried out various tests in the lab, but unfortunately recorded low outputs. But then the farmer in me reminds me that application of organic fertilizer in similar situations like this on the farm can help better my harvest and improve my outputs. So with this in mind, I've additionally implemented a device at the outputs to help amplify it to substantial levels that can be used in real-world applications such as this. Then what? Then my harvested electrical energy can be used to power already existing devices along the length of the pipeline that will be used to monitor the process of oil extraction in real time. This serves as a rather sustainable means of energy while extensively impacting in the reduction of global warming. The innovation here is unique in that no one has yet been able to successfully harvest waste heat under such harsh underground oil drilling environments. My mission here remains the same. I'll be harvesting for a better future, whether I find myself on the field or in the lab. And I would like for you all to join me in celebrating that future where no energy, like no crop, should go waste. Thank you.
Are you not already just like filled with hope? We're only a third of the way through. Amazing, good job. Our next group of presenters is going to wow us with presentations on topics that span surgery to history to plastics and more. Our presenters are Pulkit Kumar, Schuyler Hendrickson, Shaivya Anand, Rafe Asmani, and Alexandri Stein.
Thank you, Tracy. Our next presenter is Pulkit Kumar from the Department of Surgery. Pulkit's presentation is called, Can You Extend a Life Past 6 Seconds?
I want everyone to count to 6 with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That right there is how frequently a person dies due to complications from diabetes. 6 seconds. In fact, since I started speaking, approximately 4 people have died. This is an epidemic that must be addressed. The main culprit is type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune condition that targets and destroys insulin-producing islet cells. This reality forces individuals to continuously monitor their blood glucose and rely on regular insulin injections. It's inconvenient, it's painful, and it can be expensive. But imagine a future where a single procedure offers a lifetime of relief. No, this isn't wishful thinking. It's the potential reality my research is capable of achieving. Thus far, less than 1% of type 1 diabetes patients in Canada have undergone islet transplantation, locally known as the Edmonton Protocol, that promises freedom from regular insulin injections. However, the success of these transplants is hampered by rapid cell death, causing most cells to die within days due to harsh immune reactions. My work introduces an innovative approach using tiny microparticles that shields these islets during the critical early days post-transplant. Using drugs that ensure the treatment isn't rejected and guard against cell death, my research significantly improves the number of cells that survive. When we tested these islets in stress conditions with and without the microparticles, we found that islets shielded with microparticles stayed healthier and functioned better, producing more insulin than the others. Additionally, in animal models, we saw a remarkable difference. Islets transplanted with microparticles demonstrated superior diabetes reversal and better protection of cells compared to islets transplanted without them. The implications of this research extend far beyond the lab and the hospital. By ensuring more transplant rates are successful, we reduce the need for multiple donors per recipient, reduce healthcare costs by $80 billion, but most importantly, improve the quality of life for millions living with diabetes worldwide. This research could also improve countless other drug treatments, including cancer and other autoimmune diseases like arthritis. It is only a matter of time before microparticles revolutionize healthcare, and not just diabetes, offering a future where managing this epidemic is simpler, more effective, and accessible to all. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Schuyler Hendrickson from the Department of History, Classics, and Religion. Schuyler's presentation is called Hellenism, the Wildflower of History.
On June 11th, 323 BC, Alexander the Great died. At only 32 years old, he had conquered his way from his native Macedon all the way to the shores of the Beas River in India. And everywhere he went, he planted a seed that would continue to grow and develop long after his death. Modern historians refer to this seed as Hellenism, the idea that in the wake of Alexander's conquests, Greek cultural and political ideas took root in non-Greek areas. And so the next questions that historians asked, of course, were how and why? How and why did an entirely new culture start to evolve? And even though we've been investigating these reasons since the 19th century, we still don't have a totally satisfying answer. For example, if you were to go and read any of the prevailing scholarship on this subject, you'd see certain words and phrases that keep cropping up. Words like fusion and apartheid. Words that call to mind a one-way flow of power, subjugated traditions, and a homogeneous population. But the reality is more complicated than that. And so my thesis argues that these people and places were not simply subjected to Greek political structure, as so much previous scholarship has suggested, but that they actually engaged in a complex network of interactions that allowed these indigenous populations to pick and choose which aspects of Greek culture they wanted to adopt. And so, to return to our seed analogy, for a very long time, historians couldn't fathom how Hellenism could continue to grow the way it did if it wasn't being actively cultivated by the Greek ruling class, the same way a gardener might manicure a plant. But as anyone who's ever seen a wildflower will tell you, you don't need to cultivate something in order for it to thrive. All that is required is that the conditions be right. And so, what I've observed in the ancient sources, in the tablets and statues and gravestones that tell the lived experiences of these people and places, is that in negotiating these changes, indigenous rulers were able to blend Hellenistic ideas with their own traditions, and were actually able to maintain a far greater degree of autonomy than has previously been assumed. And so, in shifting this narrative, I hope to reintroduce the indigenous perspective to the conversation of Hellenism, to demonstrate that this new culture helped facilitate the creation of hybrid forms of governance that combined both Hellenistic Greek and indigenous ideas. Because even if Alexander did plant these seeds, he's not the reason they blossomed. Thank you.
Our next presenter from the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Shaivya Anand, Circular Economy of Plastic Waste.
Imagine this. You are on your way to work and you grab a cup of coffee. By the time you arrive, your work, you're already done with your coffee. You find the nearest bin and toss it off. But how many of us actually stop to read the labels on these bins? Organics, recyclables, or landfills? How many of us take the time to separate the plastic lid, the cardboard sleeve, and the film-coated cup before tossing them? What can you really recycle? Is it just the beverage containers? Or you can recycle the shampoo bottles as well? Do they have to be clean? What if I told you you don't have to worry about this anymore? If it looks like plastic, be rigid or film, it is simply plastic waste. And that's where my research comes in. I study chemical recycling. This is a process where mixed plastic waste are broken down to molecular level. The gases released from this breakdown are then fermented to form beer, which is further treated and purified to make plastic pellets, which are as good as virgin plastics. Awesome, right? But there is a challenge. No matter how miraculous this process sounds, we still need to address the question of costs and emissions. We have found that by chemically recycling plastic waste, we can reduce heat energy consumption by 20% compared to making new plastics out of fossil fuels. All thanks to waste heat utilization within the process. And of course, this in turn is going to reduce emissions and costs. Therefore, my goal is to design a sustainable process which is both economically and environmentally feasible. My research plays a pivotal role in shaping waste management policies throughout the world, where the burden of blame does not solely fall on producers or consumers, but it is shared by the entire community. So, by reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and redirecting the current 87% plastic waste from landfills back into the mainstream, we can finally close the loop and create a circular economy for plastic waste. After all, waste is nothing but a misplaced resource. So next time you grab that cup of coffee, please feel free to toss it in the recycle bin. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Rafe Osmani from the Department of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology. Rafe's presentation is called Can't Freeze Time, Freeze the Fish.
Hello, everyone. Five seconds. 10 seconds. That's 20 seconds I can't get back. That's time I could have spent telling you about how 20% of today's fish populations are either extinct or at risk. That's time I could have spent telling you about how cryopreservation may be able to help. Well, let's see if I can make the most of the time I do have left. Cryopreservation sounds daunting, but I promise it's something we're all actually quite familiar with. The basic principle is that at low temperatures, molecular and biological activity either slows down or comes to a complete stop. It's why putting food in a freezer works. Imagine then if we could use a similar technology to preserve endangered fish embryos. We'd be able to build a genetic library and use that information for future research, aquaculture, or even to rebuild entire ecosystems. It is difficult, though, to get the biology of fish embryos to agree with the chemistry of cryopreservation. Cryopreservation requires antifreeze chemicals, and unfortunately, these chemicals are simply too toxic and have a difficult time getting inside the embryo. However, there's a novel class of protective agents called ice recrystallization inhibitors. These novel products work by minimizing how big an ice crystal is able to grow. We hypothesized that these small molecules could be safe for embryos and create a breakthrough in their cryopreservation. Our lab works with zebrafish, and so far we found 3 compelling results. Firstly, we find that getting the inhibitor inside the embryo is as simple as mixing it into the same water. Secondly, we find that exposure to the inhibitor has only minor consequences on the embryo's ability to develop and hatch. Lastly, to determine the cryoprotective potential of the inhibitors, we cooled and warmed the embryos repeatedly to dramatize the size of the crystals. Then, when we looked at the tissue under a microscope, we saw samples treated with the inhibitor did indeed have significantly smaller ice crystals. Folks, today, 20% of fish species are threatened, but in 75 short years, that number is going to be 90%. We have to make the most of the time that we do have left. We can't freeze time, but by supporting this research today, we can freeze the fish. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Alexandria Stein from the Neuroscience and Mental Health Institute. Alexandria's talk is called "This is Your Brainwaves on Drugs."
If you've ever had an 8 a.m. class or maybe an early morning meeting after a late night out, you'll know that sleep is essential for our ability to think and learn. But what if I told you the cannabis edible that you took before going to bed might actually be working against you, even if it made you feel sleepy at the time? So many people self-medicate with THC, which is the component of the cannabis plant that makes you feel high. And this is particularly useful for sleep-related issues because it generally helps people to fall asleep a little bit faster. However, very little is known about what it does to your brain once you are asleep. My research aims to investigate how THC changes the brain waves that normally occur during sleep so that we can better understand how cannabis influences sleep quality and maybe even memory. So you might be familiar with the 2 main stages of sleep, REM and non-REM. REM stands for rapid eye movement. And during this stage, your body is immobile, but your eyes are actually moving back and forth. Non-REM is everything else, and it's your deep restorative sleep. So during these different stages, the different parts of the brain are generating rhythmic patterns of activity, and we call this activity brain waves. We're interested in 2 main types, theta waves and slow waves. Theta waves are coming from the hippocampus, which is your brain's main memory center, and it happens during REM sleep. Slow waves come from the wrinkly neocortex and happen during non-REM. So the coordination between these brain waves is thought to be an important conversation that helps to solidify our long-term memories. So you can think of this as a phone call between two friends. One person must be there to make the call, and then the other person must be there to pick up the phone, and then they can get on to having a conversation about a past shared experience. So to study these brain waves, we put a tiny electrode into the hippocampus and the cortex of anesthetized rats, and we record how brain waves change before and after THC. The great thing about this electrode is that it allows us to see what's happening within each layer of these structures. This tells us whether particular phone lines of communication between the chatty cortex and the hippocampus are more affected by THC than others. So far, the data is showing that yes, THC does change brain waves. In particular, it decreases theta, increases slow waves, and changes the amount our friends, the hippocampus and cortex, are talking to each other. So I can't yet tell you what this means for memory, but I can tell you that despite what the old anti-drug campaigns would have you believe, it's unlikely cannabis will scramble your brain like an egg. However, it might still prevent you from getting the most out of your sleep. Thank you.
I think the only thing that would be better about this is if we could have like question answer afterwards. We will have food and drink though when we get through all of this, so save up your questions because you'll have opportunities to talk to all of our fantastic speakers. All right, so our last 5 finalists will close out our presentations for this year with a collection of talks that will take us from quantum physics to umami and wastewater. Our speakers for this last section will be Howie Simpson, Cameron Scott, Tanay Kumar, Nathan Lamarche, and Laura Lopez Aldana.
Our next presenter, Howie Simpson from the Department of Physics. Howie's talk is called Getting Atoms to Say Cheese as a Quantum Photographer.
Look at your hand. What do you see? Look closer. What if I told you you're looking at 10 million atoms? That's 10 with 25 zeros after it. In fact, everything from the chair you sit on to the air you breathe is made up of atoms. And there are so many of them that it's impossible to count in one lifetime. And yet, researchers can make computer chips so small, they're made with only a few hundred atoms. So small that we can't use regular microscopes to see them. So how can we see an atom? And how do we do studies at the atomic level? Well, my research uses a special microscope called the scanning tunneling microscope. And although this is going to sound sci-fi, it uses a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling. Now, quantum tunneling is fairly simple. Quantum essentially just means really small, and tunneling just means to tunnel. Let's say I have a boulder, and I need to get this boulder from one side of a mountain to the other. I'm no Sisyphus, and I couldn't even start climbing a mountain, let alone push a boulder over it. But if I take that boulder, and I shrink it down so much that it becomes quantum, the boulder itself can pass through the mountain to the other side, as if it's going through an invisible tunnel. And if I make that mountain smaller, the boulder has an easier chance of tunneling through the mountain. And that's quantum mechanics. And it turns out that electrical current, something that we use every day to charge our phones, are made up of these tiny, tiny quantum boulders. And instead of trying to tunnel through a mountain, electrical current can tunnel through the air. So if I take a really sharp piece of electrical wire and bring it so close to a surface I'm interested in, without them touching, electrical current can go from that wire through the air to the sample. And if I hold that height and I start to scan in a direction, if there's an atom there, the distance between the tip and the sample becomes smaller, or my mountain becomes thinner, and I get more electrical current. So I can do this for a whole area, keeping track of the change of electrical current as I go, and I can generate a three-dimensional map of the atomic surface. Not only that, since I'm already using electrical current to take my image, I can use it to measure the electronic properties of the material at the same time atom by atom. So not only do I generate really cool images like the silicon behind me, but I look at emerging technologies that are coming out every day. Technologies like nanowires that are made of tens of atoms, but have huge implications in clean water and green energy solutions. Things like those computer chips from before, where I can take a single atom and pluck it out or move it around and see how that changes the electronic properties of the chip. Even things like superconductors, where fundamentally understanding how they work can allow us to solve problems like electrical transport. My research serves to understand how things work at the atomic scale so I can get them to work at our scale. And I can do it with a simple picture. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Cameron Scott from the Department of Biomedical Engineering. Cameron's talk is called A Safer Step for Talus Rehabilitation.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cam. Quick show of hands, who here has ever had an ankle injury? Okay, for those of you online, that's roughly 60% of the audience. I like to dance in the evenings. And as a ballet dancer, I see ankle injuries all the time. But even outside of sports, 1/3 of all Albertan workplace injuries are of the feet, the toes, and the ankle. The talus bone that's located centrally in your ankle can link back to a lot of these injuries, with its main responsibility being its weight-bearing capacity. It allows us to do things like get out of bed in the morning, go to work, walk, and in my case, dance. So what makes this bone so unique, besides its complex geometry, is only 40% of it is perforated in blood vessels, meaning it needs a very high blood supply in order to remain alive. During high-impact accidents at work or in sports, this bone has a high probability of breaking or fracturing, and so surgeons classify it as a high-risk and high-complication injury. So what do we do? How do we fix it? Well, we perform these things called total talar replacements, in which the dead and the dying talus bone is taken out, and a custom polished metal implant is placed back in. And this does offer patients weight-bearing capacity back, but we now know that the metal causes inflammation, infection, and joint deterioration. And that's on top of a 6-week waiting list. My research aims to address these gaps by creating the next generation of talus bone implants. We'll be utilizing a universal geometry of the bone itself and then coating it in an artificial cartilage. And I plan on doing this with the following 3 objectives. I'll start with 3D printing the core of the implant out of cobalt chromium metal. And I know we said metal wasn't good, but cobalt chromium has a very high strength to weight ratio and it is biocompatible. So this is what metal should be used for. Second, we'll coat the implant in the artificial cartilage via injection molding. And for this, we chose the material of PCU. In our previous studies, we have shown that PCU exhibits similar wear properties as biological cartilage, meaning it's not going to cause that joint deterioration anymore. Lastly, we now need to test the system. And how we plan on doing that is by performing an actual total talar replacement on a foot to mid-shin cadaver system, and then reanimating it using robotics. And the purpose of this is to simulate what the implant is going to experience in a patient prior to clinical trials, to ensure it's effective, more importantly, to ensure that it's safe. At the end of these objectives, we will have created a pre-developed implant that orthopedic surgeons can just take off the shelf, cutting down on wait time, and that's more biocompatible, cutting down on patient pain. Ultimately, revolutionizing rehabilitation with an innovative, safe, and quicker solution to get our community back to what matters, whether that be going to work, whether that be going for a walk and enjoying the first day of spring, or simply getting out of bed by yourself in the morning. And together with my technology, we will be taking a safer step for talus rehabilitation. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Tanay Kumar from the Department of Chemical and Materials Engineering. Tanay's presentation is called Spilling the Bucket on Tailing Wastewaters.
Can I propose a holiday destination that is bigger than the city of Vancouver? Just close your eyes and imagine sandy beaches, water all around you, tiny and large salt crystals, and oil, and acid, and toxic components. Okay, maybe I lied. It is not a holiday destination. It is the Athabasca tailing wastewater. But it actually is 3 times bigger than the city of Vancouver. Tailing wastewater is produced during oil sand production, and it is absolutely massive, encompassing more than 1.2 trillion liters in volume. That's 12 zeros, in case anyone's wondering. The soil around the pond is completely infertile. The animals in that region, dead. And the worst bit, it continues to increase every single day. There's a chance the volume will be up by 1 million liters by the time this event ends. Understanding the gravity of the situation, a lot of research and investment has been put into resolving it, and rightly so. So what would we ideally want? We'd like to get rid of the water from the tailings and recover some of the nutrients if possible. However, the process of water removal becomes extremely slow as the tailing wastewater thicken, and the current methods are either costly or inefficient. When I was first introduced to this problem, I generally thought to myself, why don't we just try it? And we could do that, but it's like drying a bucket full of water. The water only dries on the surface, and it uses only a part of the heat energy for the purpose of evaporation. However, if we spill that bucket, the water dries almost immediately. Or in technical terms, if I can confine all of the heat energy to a single layer and cause evaporation from that same layer, we can fasten the evaporation process. We have designed a device that does exactly that by using some cotton towels from Costco. Yes, you heard that right, some cotton towels from Costco. In this device, we conduct water from the wastewater to a single cotton layer. Simultaneously, we generate heat energy by absorbing the solar energy on the same cotton layer. The results, 400% increase in the evaporation performance of tailing wastewaters. We've also utilized wind and have already evaporated large volumes of tailing. I do believe we can evaporate the Athabasca tailing ponds out of Canada. I'm optimistic that we can reclaim that land and have luscious forests and animals in that region again. And I'm confident that this fantasy will one day be a reality. Thank you.
Our next presenter, Nathan Lamarche from the Department of English and Film Studies. Nathan's presentation is called An Era of AI, Artificial Empathy and Real Deception.
11 years ago, I was caring for my grandmother. We didn't know it at the time, but she had dementia. She doesn't recognize me anymore. She was prone to falling for scams. Door visitors asking for money, email scams, computer viruses. She couldn't tell reality from fiction. It's easy to forget just how many of us are vulnerable. In December, nearly $2 million were scammed from Edmontonians alone using faked AI videos of Justin Trudeau and Elon Musk. Scams are just the beginning. How could our relationships be influenced and manipulated by an artificial intelligence that can look and sound and feel like us? AI is a fiction. It promises a fantasy of an emotional connection, just like a story. That's why I'm using fiction for my research. A literary analysis of 3 core science fiction works: Black Mirror, 1984, and A Handmaid's Tale. These stories experiment with technologies and ideas that frankly scare us. It's really easy to say that's not real and leave out the yet. I'm using Black Mirror to look at the promises of the technology, the same ones we're seeing today. You can download an app on your phone right now for an AI companion to suit your romantic or platonic or sexual needs. AI therapists, teachers, friends, even simulations of lost loved ones. Because we want to be loved. We want to love. We want to talk to our grandmothers again. But it's not real. It's never real. Last year, one of these apps told a teenager to murder his parents because they limited his screen time. This is already happening, this deceit. It's easy for us to look at 1984 and The Handmaid's Tale and think that could never happen. But what about when AI is owned and controlled by foreign nations or by a ruling class of wealth? What's to stop them from harming us, manipulating us, taking the truth and changing it into something else, something that benefits them? We have a lot of concerns about AI. We talk about job loss and the value of art and privacy. My research presents the risks to empathy, to our relationships. Picture a judge, a politician, even your neighbor buying into that fantasy. It's a story. How are we supposed to write policies about that? We want the solution. We need it. I want to talk to my grandmother again. She's like a mother to me, and she doesn't even know who I am. I understand that temptation, artificial intelligence, a promise for something that can fill that void. It's ironic how empty it is. I want to leave all of you on a question, and I want you to really, really think about this. How do you tell reality from fiction?
And our final presenter of the evening, Laura Lopez Aldana from the Department of Agricultural, Food, and Nutritional Science. Laura's presentation is called Umami, Using Deliciousness to Unlock Easier Swallowing.
Let's start with a quick show of hands. How many of you actively think about swallowing? I don't see many hands going up. That is because for most of us, swallowing is automatic, so we don't have to think about it. But for 1 in 17 Canadians living with swallowing difficulties, or better known as dysphagia, this is something they think about often. Just imagine sitting down for a meal, and all of a sudden, you start to choke. That is the reality for those living with dysphagia. It has a variety of causes from Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and even medical practices such as intubation. Now, what if I told you that flavor, specifically umami, could help make swallowing easier? Umami is that delicious savory taste that is found in tomatoes, mushrooms, aged cheese, soy sauce, and it isn't just delicious, it is a game changer. That is because umami has the unique ability to stimulate saliva production and the swallowing reflex. One of the ways umami works is a bit like a water slide. When the slide is dry, things tend to get stuck. But you add a little bit of water and suddenly everything moves smoothly. That's what umami does. It helps lubricate everything, allowing food to flow down smoothly. Now, while all tastes result in saliva production, umami can do so 3 times as long as any other taste. So, to investigate this concept, we had a sensory panel, where we had 70 participants taste foods with and without umami. We asked them to rate them based on umami intensity, how much it made them salivate, and how much they enjoyed them. Overall, we found that, yes, umami improves saliva production, which could help with swallowing. But we also found that when individuals rated the umami intensity as high, they also salivated more and enjoyed the food more, which means umami enhances the entire eating experience, not just swallowing. So, By understanding how umami impacts saliva and swallowing, we can pave the way for new food innovations, which could help improve the lives of those with dysphagia by enhancing their mealtime experiences. So, next time you eat something rich in umami, I invite you to stop and think. How much are you salivating? Is that affecting how you're swallowing? And how much are you enjoying it? Because in the end, food isn't just about nutrition. It is about enjoyment. Thank you.
Wow, that is some high-impact research dissemination right there that we just witnessed. There you have it, 15 remarkably talented communicators. Please join me in giving them all a really warm round of applause. Good job, guys. Thank you. Now, the judges' hard work begins. I can see them sweating a little bit from here, I think. Well, we get to enjoy the afterglow of the great presentations we've just heard. So Renee is going to usher the judges into their deliberation room. But while they are working hard, we'd like to invite all of our in-person guests to step outside, stretch your legs, and enjoy some appetizers and refreshments. Seek out the speakers, ask the questions that you're thinking about that their presentations caused you to have. We also want to ask you to take the opportunity to vote for your People's Choice recipient. You can do so whether you're joining us in person or online. Just go to uab.ca/3, the number, MT. Again, that's uab.ca/3, the number, MT. Make sure to vote for your choice, for the People's Choice. Don't wander too far. We expect to reconvene in about a half an hour, and that could come quickly. So make sure you're listening for announcements, and please enjoy the food and drink in the lobby outside of the lecture theater. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everybody got a little bit to eat, a little bit to drink, had a good visit, got to chat with some of the finalists. The judges have reached their decisions, and in just a moment, I'll ask them to announce them. But before we move on to the award presentation, we have something that a little different that we did this year. We introduced a new prize draw to encourage graduate students from across our campuses to take part in 3MT. So everybody who competed in the preliminary rounds, share this with your friends across campus, was entered in a draw to win $500. And we have one winner from each of the colleges of health sciences, natural and applied sciences, and social sciences and humanities. So I get the pleasure of announcing who those winners are, and I'll invite each of them to come to the stage when I call their name. We're not sure if everyone is here, but we'll see what happens. So first, from the College of Health Sciences, congratulations to Chahat Suri. Is Chahat here? Thank you, Chahat, for participating in the 3MT. Next, from the College of Natural and Applied Sciences, congratulations, Aziz Adani. And last but not least, from the College of Social Sciences and Humanities, congratulations to Cheryl Mengjia Pan. Cheryl, oh, yay! Thank you to all of you, and again to everybody that participated for your wonderful research presentations and for your support of the 3MT. Okay, and now, the moment we've all been waiting for, I want to invite all 15 of our superb finalists to come and take their place on the stage. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, our 15 superb 2025 3-minute thesis finalists. Let's give them another round of applause. I just want to take this moment to congratulate all of you. You're all amazing. And I want to stress what an important accomplishment this is and how much we appreciate the work and time you've put into this project. Thank you so much for participating. You made everybody's evening here, so thank you. We trust that every minute that you devoted to your 3MT will pay off for you in those times across your future careers when you'll rely on the communication skills that you've worked on to put together such amazing and impactful presentations. Thank you again for being part of our 3MT family. And now I'd like to invite our judges forward to share a few thoughts on the presentations we've just heard.
I guess they decided as we were coming down that I'm the spokesperson. So, I mean, wow. Can we all agree? Round of applause for these. You know, our jobs is to talk all the time, and it's pretty intimidating to come down here after following these 15 people. So, I mean, what else can we say other than congratulations, you did a superb work. I'm not sure you can hear me. It was tremendous. I think we were all amazed. We had a tough decision to make. And anything else we should say? I mean, that's really the praise. We got to give them the praise. And any one of you could have won tonight. It was a tough choice. Mattina's not here, and she's actually usually the spokesperson. She's the one. She's got the power of gab that we don't have. But should we just start announcing? Is that the next part of this? Yes. Okay.
Impeccable timing on my part. Thank you. Tope, you're over there. Thank you, judges. Okay, and now for the big moment. Dean Carey, back over to you. If you would please announce the runner-up in the 2025 University of Alberta 3-Minute Thesis Competition. When the individual hears their name, you're already up here, but you'll come forward. Okay, over to you.
So, with the presentation entitled Desperate for Relief, Hesitant to Believe, Break the Cannabis Silence, the runner-up is Heba Aref. Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations, Heba. That's just so well done. And now we'll have Vice Provost and College Dean Hemelgarn over to you to announce the winner.
Thank you, Tracy. And as Jason said, it was a really tough decision. You all did a fantastic job. It was phenomenal. It was incredible, actually. But there had to be one person that we selected. And the individual that we selected was the topic of getting atoms to say cheese as a quantum photographer, Howie Simpson. And I just want to say, for the first time, I understood quantum. So thank you.
Me too. That was amazing. All right, congratulations. And we're not finished yet. One of our favorite parts of this event is honoring the person whom our audience has voted as their favorite. It's the People's Choice Award. Associate Dean Oriola, where did you disappear to? Can I get you to do the honors?
Thank you very much, Madam Dean. I'm glad we did not have this in my day. so, lots of pressure. I'm pleased to present the People's Choice Award for the 2025 U of A 3-Minute Thesis Competition. And the recipient is Ifedayo Bello from Buy to Buy.
Congratulations, Ifedayo. Before we close the proceedings, we would like to give our champion the chance to say a few words. You want to say it?
I didn't practice for this one. I guess I'd like to thank my supervisor, obviously, for hiring me. Glad to do the work I do. Everybody from the physics department who came and supported. We don't usually get physics to do this kind of thing, so it's really nice to see us here. Obviously, all of my newfound friends and people who competed. I work in a basement with no windows up in CSIS. Like, I don't see the real world, so I get a chance to come out and see the wonderful research that other people get to do, and it's really refreshing. But then I have to go back on Monday, right? So But yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for everyone for coming too. That's really amazing. Thanks.
Oh, sure. Heba's also going to say a few words.
Yes. For some reason, I was preparing some words to say, not sure why, but I would like to thank my supervisor, Dr. Cheryl Sadowski, and also all the supervisors who allowed their students to blossom. Congratulations to the supervisors of the 52 who participated in the 3-minute thesis. Thank you for encouraging your students to do that. Without that, I don't think any student would have really considered participating in the 3-minute thesis. So thank you. Another thing is a big thank you to the people organizing the 3-minute thesis. It was very non-stressful event, and they had these coaching sessions that were amazing. So thank you to Dr. Rob Desjardins, Dr. Renee, Dr. Jay Freyson. Thank you.
These communication skills are really working.
Well, thank you everyone that voted me. This is a really great honor to be part of this. On my LinkedIn account today, I posted, I have never for once dreamed that I am going to be on the university website of the top 100 university in the world and top 5 in Canada. And here I am today, not just on the website, among the 15 finalists presenting their research to audible audience. And among all of you, you deem me fit to be the people's choice and the people's voice. Thank you so much. I appreciate my supervisor, Dr. Wu, Dr. Philip Soladoye, and all my colleagues that are here from AFNS. Thank you so much for the support. And 3MT teams, I would love to be here and support anyone, anytime, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for your additional words on top of your presentations. Those were so impactful, and I love that you highlighted the social aspects of this and the connection, on top of the development of the skills and the presentation of your research. So thank you all, and thank you for those lovely words after the fact. Really love that. Thank you all as well. That brings us to the end of the formal program for today, but not the end of 3MT 2025. If able, our champion, yes, will be moving on to compete in the Western Regional Competition in Victoria. So let's do a preemptive cheer for him when that comes. For now, though, I just want to close by doing one more round of thank yous. Thank you to the presenters one more time for their incredible work. I also want to thank the judges for their hard work tonight. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much. Special thanks to Jeff Allen Productions for the great work on the live stream and for all of the people that helped with the AV. As I said at the beginning, you are the unsung heroes. They're back there, right? These events wouldn't run without you, so thank you. I also want to acknowledge all of the GPS staff members who've contributed to the event, in particular, Rob Desjardins, Aaron Sanderman, where's Aaron? Jay Friesen, where's Jay? He's over there, and Renee Polzine. Their work includes not only putting together the wonderful event that you've just participated in, but also offering multiple workshops across the year on not only effective communication, but engagement, as well as innovation, entrepreneurship, leadership, career planning, and teaching. And so let's have a huge round of applause for our PD team. I also really want to thank our communications partner, Ashley Bilodeau. I don't know if Ashley is here. She's right there. Thank you, Ashley. Ashley is working with GPS on all of our communications, and she is the one that is working hard to make sure people find out about all of the things that we're doing and are able to, enjoy these amazing events and benefit from communications about them after the fact. So thank you so much, Ashley. And lastly, I want to thank all of you for attending today and for supporting graduate student research at the University of Alberta. Come again next year. Come to Falling Walls, come to Images of Research. We would love to see you at all of the events that showcase the amazing things happening in graduate and postdoctoral studies at the U of A. Have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to tell your friends, your neighbors, and your colleagues. They can view all of these amazing talks online after tonight. Thank you. Have a great weekend.